Welcome to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. I am so happy to have you here with me. I am going to be riffing all by myself today. I don't have a guest because I decided that right here at the end of the month of my 70th birthday that I wanted to just talk about some reflections from my 70s. I know I'm still fairly new at it, but I've got a lot on my mind, and I just thought it would be fun today to just share some different things with you. Talk about aging, talk about the coronavirus, talk about love, talk about the environment, the politics. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. We have a great deal to talk about. So I figured that we're just going to hang today, and we're going to just talk about many things that have been crossing my mind now that I am in a new decade and having some kind of new thoughts. So again, welcome to Change It Up Radio. Those of you who follow us know that Change It Up Radio is all about change. Humans have this love-hate relationship with change. We need it or we'd be bored to death, but we hate the discomfort of the unfamiliar. So change is something that we actually need help with, because sometimes change is unwelcome. Sometimes change is huge, and it's something that we didn't want to happen, like a death, a divorce, some kind of loss, a pandemic. That's the kind of change that's very difficult for humans. And so what we try to do here on Change It Up Radio is either spotlight change makers who are trying to make the world a better place, like Michaela Gaston, who you saw a couple of weeks ago, or heard a couple of weeks ago. Dr. Ken Redcross was here last week talking to us about the coronavirus. There are people out there who are really trying to help us deal better with change, make it smoother and more productive. And those are the people that we want to spotlight on this show. And the other thing we're all about is bringing you information to help make change smoother and more productive for you. So if you would like to hear any of our past shows, because we've had some amazing people, or if you'd like information about being a guest or a sponsor of this show, then go to changeitupradio.com. That's changeitupradio.com. And if you would like more information about me, I am an author, a speaker, and a life transition coach. I work with people in my private practice, helping them deal with the upheaval of change. Exactly the same kinds of things we've just been talking about. Only rather than just doing talk therapy, in my practice, if people are open to it, we use mind-body tools and the tools of energy psychology, which bypass the conscious mind and kind of help people move more quickly, because we work with the subconscious and the energy system. So if you're interested in learning more about that work or grabbing a free 20-minute consult with me, you can get information for doing that at paulashaw.com. That's paulashaw.com. And if you're interested in talking to me about being a speaker for your event, most of which we now know are online events, you can get that information at paulashawspeaks.com. So, welcome to the show, and I would be very remiss if I didn't begin with a few recollections, as this show I'm calling Reflections from My 70s. But the very first moments of my 70s were so beautiful. As many of you know, I did a little 5-day challenge. Well, it wasn't really a challenge. It was a 5-day gratitude thing. Each day I just wanted to say something else that I was grateful for as we counted down to my actual 70th birthday, September 5th. And there were so many things. I'm so blessed. I'm healthy. I don't take one prescription med. I use a lot of supplements. I eat good vegetables a lot. I am a meat eater, love my fish, love my beef, but I try to do it all in moderation. And and I do feel like that's the key. If I've learned nothing in these 70 years, I think the word that is the cornerstone of how I try to live my life, haven't mastered it yet. That's why I'm going to stick around for at least another 30. But the word is balance. I think the more balanced we are in every part of our lives, the better life goes. So I try to balance what I eat, balance what I drink, balance my activity versus my quiet time. I work hard to get plenty of sleep and exercise. And some of those things I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a minute. But I want to go back to my birthday because during those 5 days, I drove up to Carmel with my children, and we spent 5 days more with my dear friends, Pat Garfield and Carol Kladinsky. And I'm telling you, you would all be very blessed if you ever got to have them host you for a birthday celebration. I arrived to balloons and decorations, and it was amazingly beautiful, and a gorgeous orchid on my bedside table that I got to take home. And that was after a really fun drive up with my two children, Aaron and Casey. And even though the fires were burning and Highway 1, which we love, was closed down, we still had a great drive. Oh, and I forgot my grand dog, Wiki, was also with us. And he even managed to calm down at portions of the trip. He's not a great road traveler. He seems to get just a little nervous and he pants most of the 6-hour drive. So we got there to all these decos and lovely things. And Patty and Carol are two of the most fun, delightful beings on the planet. And I had just days of being treated so beautifully and feeling so special. On my actual birthday, Pat took me to lunch at this beautiful place in Spanish Bay, which is on the 17-mile drive. And we had the first lunch alone that we've had in years. You know, Pat and I were best buddies in high school. Not all of you know that, but some of you listening, I know, are from our class. And it's really, truly one of the blessings in my life that I still have this friendship with her. And that many of us who reunited a few years back at our 50th reunion are in touch now. Patty Bell's always out there, and Lynn Anderson, who is my buddy and my cheerleader pal. We all hung out together, and we've all kind of reconnected. God bless Facebook for help with that. So we're still in each other's lives. On my actual birthday, Patty and Carol flew lobsters in from Maine for my birthday dinner. And my daughter, Erin, and my son contributed, but my daughter spent hours working on the most gut-wrenching, heart-touching video where so many of you made little recordings that she edited into a little video for me for my birthday evening. That was the entertainment after dinner, and I cried my eyes out. It was the most beautiful, touching thing. And as I jokingly said, I didn't even have to die to have the board with all the pictures and have all these beautiful, wonderful things that so many of you said. So I'm reporting in from 3 weeks into 70. Growing older is not a bad deal, guys. It can be really special and wonderful. So don't anybody fall into dreading it. But let's talk a little teeny bit about what are some of the things that we want to do so that we age. I don't even really like that word age. You know, so that we move into life and down the road of life more smoothly and happily and in a more healthy state. So I'm very, very big on a few things. And some of you may have seen the video that I made sharing my tell-all secrets. And a couple of them I'm going to mention today because I did mention that I think it's really important what we eat, that we move every day, whether you work out or you walk or you stretch or you do yoga, super important. Meditation for me, or for some of you, it might be some other quiet, introspective time, perhaps praying, perhaps reading a book of wisdom. That sort of quiet time has been really important for me. And then the three F's, have got to be included. And that is fun, family, and friends. Without that, none of the rest really matters. And so I am blessed and delighted that my life is still really fun. And I'm happy to actively work at creating fun. And I have the most wonderful family, many of whom I got to see last weekend, and I hadn't seen them since the virus first began way back in March. And that just filled my heart and my soul, and it was so wonderful. And my friends are the most beautiful, wonderful people. And you all know who you are, and I am blessed. And you are part of what helps to keep me young and keep me interested and excited about life. And of course, my work is important to me. It means so much. Doing this show, being able to speak to you every week about things that I think are important, or introducing you to people that are important, it's such a blessing. And sitting with my clients and helping them deal with the upheaval of change, introducing them to energy psychology methods like tapping meridian points that help them shift in a kind of miraculous way. Every time I see somebody, eyes get bigger and they go, wow, oh, I feel better. It's such a treat. It makes me so happy that I do what I do. So there are many aspects to aging that can be helped. But this is an Eon phototherapy patch that helps me get great sleep. It's anti-stress and anti-anxiety. And it just looks like a little round Band-Aid, no chemicals and no drugs in this patch. And my other secret weapon, the X39. It's also a patch that looks just like that one, only this one elevates a copper peptide in your body that activates stem cell production. That truly is what's made a difference in the collagen of my skin and everything kind of smoothing out a little bit more than it probably would be at 70. So those are some of my secrets and my gratitude moments from my birthday month. And we will be right back after this message. And in the next segment, we're going to talk about love. All right, see you in a minute. So you Facebook guys know we're not really going to a message. That'll all happen in the studio. So I think we're going to just get right on with, let me hit my stopwatch, and we will get right on with love. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. I am having some fun today. I'm just riffing by myself because I decided at the end of my birthday month, I wanted to just share with my listeners some reflections from the 70s. And I don't mean the 1970s. I mean the decade of being in your 70s, which I am now almost 3 weeks into. So in this segment, I want to talk to you about love. I think love is such a loaded word, a loaded experience. It means so many different things to so many people. But what I realized this morning when I was really thinking about this is love itself is simple and it's pure. Love is love. It's just this amazing feeling. It's this caring about something beyond yourself. It's beautiful. Yesterday, on my Rotary group meeting online, there was a woman who trains service dogs. And this dog You want to talk about love. This dog would not take his eyes off her. He adored her and she adored him. And the training she had done with him was so amazing. And she will keep this dog for a year and a half. And then, after the depth of this relationship that they've created, she will give him to a special group of trainers who will continue his training to prepare him to become a service dog for some very fortunate person. That's love. That it's so selfless. I mean, everybody in the group, including myself, we're all just thinking, how can you give him away? Give her, I believe it was a girl, a female, Flower was her name. How can you give her away after this intense bond? But her love and her giving for the people who are going to get the dog was so great that fuels her to be able to go to this selfless kind of love. It's so beautiful. But I also think it's interesting to think about how complicated the relationships around love can be. We've all been in those, haven't we? I mean, in my own lifetime, I have known many kinds of love. I've known that head over heels, you can't stop thinking about him love, beautiful love, romantic love, passionate love, uh, love that's almost obsessive, love that just feeds you energies. You feel like you're a new person. But I've also known love that got complicated, love that got hurtful, even abusive, um, that was hot and cold, that eventually became debilitating and even defeating. And that was love that then had to be stepped away from, because sometimes our devotion to the love relationship is greater than the actual love. And then it no longer serves us really to be in that relationship. But one of my greatest joys in my work is working with couples when they're having issues in their loving relationship. Because so often those issues can be shifted, they can be cleared up, and then the love, that beautiful, pure, simple love, bursts forth again. There's something I want to share with you today. I don't always read something to you, but I actually found this 3 years ago, and I wish I would have had time this morning to look this man up, because his name is Jeff Brown. I don't know if he's an author. This particular piece I found online, and it was just a posting, I believe. But this is what he wrote. I thought it was so full of wisdom. Sometimes people walk away from love because it is so beautiful that it terrifies them. Sometimes they leave because the connection shines a bright light on their dark places and they're not ready to work through them. Sometimes they run away because they are not developmentally prepared to merge with another. They have more individuation work to do first. Sometimes they take off because love is not a priority in their lives. They have another path and purpose to walk first. Sometimes they end it because they prefer a relationship that is more practical than conscious, one that does not threaten the ways that they organize reality. Because so many of us carry shame, we have a tendency to personalize love's leavings, triggered by the rejection and feelings of abandonment. But this is not always true. Sometimes it has nothing to do with us. That's so important. I'm going to read it again. Sometimes it has nothing to do with us. Sometimes the one who leaves is just not ready to hold it safe. Sometimes they know something we don't. They know their limits at that moment in time. Real love is no easy path. Readiness is everything. May we grieve loss without personalizing it. May we learn to love ourselves in the absence of the lover. I just thought there was so much beauty in that piece, There's so much that's so true, that so often when love ends, we fill our hearts with bitterness, with upset, with we take it personally, we feel rejected, so we get angry, we're feeling shame, we're hurt. But so often it's more about what Jeff Brown just shared with us. The other person either had needs we're not aware of, or inadequacies we're not aware of, or just other priorities. And so, it's always been my dream, or let's say my druthers, and my hope for people when they end a relationship, that they be able to still stay in touch with the part of them that loved in the beginning, the part of them that found this person to be the most special being on the planet. So even if circumstances have changed and you can no longer live together or be that couple, but if you can stay tuned in to how it began, how you felt in the beginning, then you can hold each other still in a place of love, maybe not romantic love, but a place of respect, a place of integrity, a place where you can still really feel something beautiful exists between you. That place, I think, is very important. That place is a place that really can transcend even the everyday things that aren't working. Even when being with somebody is no longer a growth experience for either party, even when the relationship is hurtful to one or the others of the parties, still, let's do our best to always stay tuned in to love. Whether it's love of your friend, love of a family member, love of a lover, love is such a beautiful thing. It's a gift, guys. Think about it. How many people do you encounter in a given day when life's normal? Probably more so than right now. But how many of them do you love? So often we meet people we like or that we get along with, but love, that feeling that lights your heart up, that makes you so glad to be alive, that makes you feel blessed every moment you're with that other being that you love, whether it's your dog or your cat, your child, your husband, your partner, your best friend. It doesn't matter. What really, really is the ultimate life experience here. And I am very clear about this after being on this planet 70 years. Nothing beats love. Nothing beats love to make a situation better. Nothing beats love as far as what you feel. Nothing beats love to light you up. Nothing beats love to just make you feel like jumping up and down for joy with gladness that you're on this planet. So what I really want to say right here, right now, is that one of the other reflections I've come to here in my first month of my 70 years is nothing beats love. So if you have it, cherish it, and cherish it everywhere you have it, with every single being. And if you don't, develop it, find it, grow it, and start with yourself. You can't really be good at loving anybody else until you're really good at loving yourself. Not shoulding on yourself, not criticizing yourself and judging yourself and never being pleased with yourself. Be pleased. You're great. You've got a gift that you came to this planet to give. So love yourself for that. Something bigger than all of us loved you enough to get you here. So let's make that a priority today. Let's cherish love. All right. We will be back in just a moment. And in the next segment, we're going to be talking about the coronavirus. Be right back. Okay, I've got some weird message on my screen here, guys. So let me see what this says. Oh, I think we're going to go with not now. Some crazy message showed up and I was trying to figure out what it said, but without my eyes on, I can't do that very well. All right. So let me just take a quick look at my notes here. Okay. I don't know about you guys. I'm having so much fun. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. I am just indulging myself today in getting to chat with you about whatever I want to. I'm just kind of riffing on reflections from my 70s. If you just joined us, then I'll bring you up to speed. I just turned 70 on September 5th, and I realize I've learned a few things being on the planet this long. And today I just wanted to talk about some of those things with you guys. So thank you for indulging me. So in this segment, I want to talk about the coronavirus pandemic, because that's been a huge, huge event that has impacted every life in every way possible. And I think I'd be remiss at this birthday juncture, looking back over the years without talking about this, because nobody on the planet has ever experienced anything like this pandemic. None of us were alive when the last thing happened back in the 1800s. And so we've been through something absolutely remarkable, incredible, devastating, life enhancing, creativity enhancing for sure. In fact, I want to talk about creativity for a minute. Yes, there's been a lot of downside to the pandemic. We all know so much of what that is. I mean, I hearken back to that first week when I walked into Target and there was no toilet paper on the shelves, and I had no idea why. It was before we were officially into shelter in place, and I had no idea why the toilet paper was gone. And then, of course, you remember going into the grocery store and there was no pasta and no rice, none of those sort of long-term staples. And then you started hearing conversations, the women in my classes at the gym talking about, oh, I'm making a big batch of chili. This may be a couple of weeks. And the other things that we were all doing to prepare. But when it actually happened, that we were not supposed to leave our homes except to go to the grocery store or perhaps for medical aid, that was a pretty chilling experience. And I think among a lot of people that I know and that I'm exposed to, panic set in. We had no idea if this virus was just traveling through the air and everybody was going to get it. We didn't really know how it was transmitted. We had no idea how huge it was. And we were all just operating from a state of fear of the unknown. And I remember early on in this pandemic, as I was observing both in my clients, in my family, and in my friends, all this fear, all this angst, I decided, as some of you may remember, that I needed to do something to help bring a little good news to people. So every day at 11:30, I would do 11 minutes and 30 seconds of good news, live streaming here on Facebook. And I did 11 minutes and 30 seconds because that's how long each of my segments are here on this radio show. So I was already kind of geared for that, and I figured that's good. 11 minutes and 30 seconds isn't so long that people will have to go do something else. They might actually even be able to tune in. And for me, it was such a therapeutic experience because A, I felt like I was doing something helpful. B, I had to comb the internet every morning, because in the beginning I was doing it 7 days a week. then I backed down to 5 and eventually 4, but because it was a lot of work. But I had to comb the internet looking for good news. And so I was exposed to stories like the dolphins returning to the Venice canals, to the people in Italy singing to each other from their balconies, to people doing concerts from rooftops in Germany in the towns that were shut down. Um, oh my God, the beautiful thing. It started in Italy, but then it happened everywhere. We even tried to get it going here in San Diego. People honking and thanking the first responders and the doctors and the nurses. And there truly were a lot of beautiful moments. Some of you also may remember a show that evolved in the midst of the pandemic called SGN, or Some Good News, that John Krasinski put out there. And he had a lot better effects and staff than I did and help. And he pulled together some beautiful stories and with video and the whole thing that he shared with us during the pandemic. Because I think he, like me, believed that humans need each other. And if we realize that there's good stuff going on out there, and if we realize that we don't have to be in a constant state of fear, and if we can enjoy some of the beautiful things that are happening. Children, I remember the 2 children that dressed to the nines and took their violins and did a little concert on their neighbor's porch because she couldn't come out. She was an older person and very threatened by the disease. There were just so many beautiful things. People holding up signs to their grandparents in nursing homes saying they're engaged. People buying somebody else's groceries at the grocery store. There were many, many beautiful moments when humans rose to their highest levels. And that to me was really one of the treats of the pandemic. But now there's a lot of realities that we're all dealing with. For one thing, many people have not been able to work for quite a long time, or their income has been very limited. And my heart really goes out to those people. And I truly thank the governments that are helping to supplement those people. Some countries are really, really being generous with their citizens. And all of the unemployment benefits that have been made available, the PPP and the stimulus check that we all got in the beginning. I hope that more of those efforts continue, because there are still many people in trouble, and we need to remember that. The economy is coming back in many ways, and the stock market, crazy as it is pretty strong. But there are still some folks out there who really need us to be aware that they need food, they need money, they need shelter, they need help. And so let's all remember that, even as things are opening up and as we feel that they're getting better and moving in the right direction. One of the most wonderful parts of the pandemic, and I use those words purposely, was the blessing that it was to Mother Earth. The oceans cleared, the pollution cleared. People in India saw the Himalayas for the first time. And the Himalayas are in India. I mean, there were so many wonderful things happening for the planet. And I really think we all need to keep that strongly anchored in our hearts and in our consciousness. My daughter the other day was telling me that, I can't remember who she said it was, but someone in a position of leadership online was speaking to others and saying to the young people, particularly the millennials, sit your grandparents down and tell them their time on the earth is limited anyway. Please vote in the next election for those that want to save this planet, for those who really do see that global warming is a reality. for those that know it's not normal to have all these hurricanes and Death Valley breaking records at 134 degrees. And while I don't have grandparents to sit down, I'm actually in that generation now of the people that won't be around in 50 years when some of what's going on now really takes its toll on the planet. But remember the love we were just talking about. If you love your children, and if you love your grandchildren, and if you want them to have a beautiful earth like you have had in your lifetime to live on and to love and to thrive on, vote for the party that's going to work to save the planet. Because the rest of us will come and go. Trump will come and go. Biden will come and go. Everybody out here in all of us, 60, 70, 80, 90, we will be gone. We will be gone one day. But these 30-year-olds are looking around and going, what the hell? What are we going to do? What's it going to be like if it keeps on like this in 50 years? So if there are grandparents listening to me today, please think about that. Please think about that. And vote for those that want to give your grandchildren and their grandchildren a beautiful planet to live on. It's a serious time on this planet, guys. This is a serious, serious time for Americans because we've got serious choices to make in a couple of months. So please think beyond yourself and your wealth and whatever concerns are, overwhelming your life right now, and try to think about your fellow man. Try to think about the world. Try to think about Mother Earth. She's doing her best for us. And in many ways, we are not making it easy for her. So I urge you all, please keep that in mind. All right, we're going to go to a quick break and we will be right back to continue this discussion of reflections from my 70s. All right, we'll be right back. Okay. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio, here with Paula Shaw. It's my day to riff, and I'm just talking about things that I've been reflecting on now that I have turned 70. And in the last segment, we were talking about the earth and the importance of what's going on now. And we were talking about the pandemic. And I want to touch on a little bit in this segment. I want to touch on masks. Last week, those of you that heard my show with Dr. Ken Redcross heard him say, masks should not be a political issue. Masks are a health issue. They have been shown to help reduce the spread of the virus. And we need to be very serious in our honoring that, because guess what, guys? We're not doing it for ourselves. A mask doesn't make you absolutely foolproof for getting the virus, unless maybe it's an N95 or you're a doctor or a nurse and you have one that's really, really well fitted and that's going to prevent you from being exposed. But we wear masks as an act of love for each other, because if I cough or if I sneeze and I don't know that I'm carrying the virus, Dr. Redcross told us last week, you can be the picture of health and still be carrying the virus. Some people are totally asymptomatic, and that means no symptoms, none. I didn't realize that. I thought you'd at least feel a little punk or not feel up for your walk that day or whatever, but no. You can be the picture of health and be a vector. So what is the one thing we can do if we're carrying it and we don't know that? We can put that mask on when we're out in public. We can do it as an act of love and caring for our fellow man. And that's the only reason we do it. It has nothing to do with politics. It's very real. My daughter sent me a text yesterday, and the information was that, Missouri Governor Mike Parson, an opponent of mandatory masks, tested positive for COVID-19. He was against it, but that virus didn't care. The virus doesn't know it's being politicized. The virus said, I'm going to attack you. And it did. So we don't know. We don't know if we're carrying it. We don't know if we might be one who could infect someone you love. So why not? It's like a friend was saying the other day, it's not that tough. It's not hard. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. None of us like wearing a mask, but it's not hard. And it's so worth what it could create, what it could save somebody from, even death. You know, we're so close to an election, and there is a lot of fear, a lot of upset, a lot of opinions going on out there. You know, fact checkers are having a field day with exposing the fact that our president stretches the truth at times. And other people are very busy arguing that this is right and this is wrong. And we're talking about fear versus faith and light versus dark. And there's a lot of agitation and upset that's going on out there. And so I asked myself, as I listen to both sides and I see the upset and the anger and the fear that so many people are going through, these emotions are energy depleting. These emotions don't help us stay healthy. They don't help us function at our best. They're just not good. They're depleting. So what can we do? What can we do rather than watch another news show, argue with another friend, post something else inflammatory, or argue with someone else online? What can we do? Well, here's my suggestion. One of the most brilliant things I've seen. And by the way, I want to just step back for a minute and say the NFL has really showed me some stuff in the last couple of weeks. Teams have taken stands for Black Lives Matter. Some players have elected to set the season out as a statement of concern about what is going on racially in this country. But last Sunday, I saw something that I thought, that's the answer. This is what could heal this country. And I suggest that we all take a play from the Chargers playbook, because on the stadium where they played on Sunday and on their Twitter, they have chosen what I think is an absolute great, great line. And that is, let's choose to be for one another. Let's choose to be for one another. And that line came from something I want to read to you all, because it was a speech given by LaDainian Tomlinson when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I thank LT because he's actually the one that gave me my joy and my zeal for football, because I was there in the stadium on the day when he broke those records. And it was one of the most exciting days of my life. But this is what he said in this speech that I think was so important. And I think if we all hear these words and embody these words, it could make a huge difference for us. When you're part of a team, you understand your teammates, their strengths and weaknesses, and work together toward the same goal, to win a championship. In this context, I advocate we become Team America. He called He called America the land of opportunity. But he added more to that ideology. He said, let's not slam the door on those who may look or sound different from us. Rather, let's open it wide for those who believe in themselves, believe that anything is possible, and are willing to compete and take whatever risks necessary to work hard to succeed. On America's team, let's not choose to be against one another. Let's choose to be for one another. My great-great-grandfather had no choice. We have one. I pray we dedicate ourselves to be the best team we can be, working and living together, representing the highest ideals of mankind, leading the way for all nations to follow. That was the words of LaDainian Tomlinson. And boy, if he was running for president right now, I think I might be voting for him. This is the spirit that can heal this country. This is the spirit that can heal the world. We need to choose to be for one another. Let's stop looking for the differences and how wrong or how bad somebody else is. Let's try to find that love we were talking about earlier in the show. Let's try to be about that as we engage with our fellow man. Let's try to glorify that. Let's get concerned about who needs what. Let's find out what's truth. And I really want to urge everybody on both sides out there, check your facts. Don't necessarily buy what your church tells you or your candidate tells you or even your government tells you. Check the facts. It's so easy to do. Just go on Google and put in what you've been told, and you will be told, you'll be shown a place you can read up. Let's stop spreading lies and inaccuracies because they're upsetting people. They're ticking people off and firing people up. And as I was saying a moment ago, those emotions are not helping us to function at a higher level as human beings. Find out what the truth is before you make your decisions about who to vote for. Find out what the truth is before you share a story, before you say something about somebody. Find out what the truth is. Because here's what I think, and here's probably the core of maybe the wisdom that I've gained in my 70 years. If we come from love and we stick to the truth, everything's going to be okay. But we all have to take responsibility for that. And I want to urge everyone to try to come from as much peace and clarity and faith as you can, because that will raise your vibration higher. And the higher the vibration on this planet is, the more chance good has to survive and to lead and to take over, to take charge. We need good in charge. We need God in charge. So I urge everyone, come from your heart, come from love, come from truth. And we're going to all get through this, and it's going to turn out in the best possible way. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for hanging out with me while I riffed on Reflections from the 70s. You can hear Change It Up Radio on Sunday evenings at 9 o'clock on AM 1170 and FM 96.1. You can also hear us on every major podcast platform, and including iHeartRadio, Blog Talk Radio, and the newest podcast platform that is really cool, especially for you millennials. There's gaming, there's rewards, there's all kinds of cool things, and that's called Podopolo. So if you haven't downloaded Podopolo yet, download it and listen to us there. All right. Thank you all for being in my life. Thank you for this beautiful birthday month I have had with you. And I will see you next week on Change It Up Radio. Until then, be safe, take care, and love each other. Choose to be for one another. Bye-bye.